Hi everyone, Mr. Lockwood here. Today's video, I'm going to have a look at a beautiful ABUS 8350 which has a BiLock Exclusive core in it. I can't share where I got this from because the person wishes to remain anonymous, but you know who you are, and thank you very much. It's been a very fun block to pick and a very welcome addition to my collection. I did have to make a modification to one of the operating keys. If I put them side by side, you can see that the bitting is different from one to the other, and the only reason for that is that the core removal on the Exclusive relies on separate bitting, because the ball bearings, which used to be floating in the bottom of the used to be floating in the bottom of the plug there, are now built into the side of the sidebars themselves. The correct bitting allows the sidebar to retract even further than normal operation, which then allows the plug to be removed. I have done this several times. Each time I've either made mistakes with audio or failed to pick it in a timely fashion. So without any further ado, I'll just get to picking. Checking the face pins. No tension on them yet, or no binding. Okay, that side seems like it's picked. We've got a little bit of binding on the face pin, although it doesn't stay all the way into its correct position. One of the biggest problems I have with BiLock in general is accidentally oversetting pins. So we're just feeling our way along, seeing whether or not we can get these pins picked without oversetting them. And just keep checking that face pin for the sidebar to see whether or not it's binding and at its correct position. The right hand side is actually binding a little bit now, so we've got a little bit of movement on the core, but not much. Okay, little click. Don't know whether you can see that very clearly, but we've got a bit more movement on the core itself, and there we go. Sit that there, get the vise out of the way. The good thing about this being a quick change core is that I don't need to pull the entire lock apart. I can use the control key, or the homemade control key. Get ourselves 2 tweezers, only because the pair that I use for pins doesn't have a sharp point on it, and this other one, which I don't use for pins, does. So we'll start from the front of the lock and just remove them in sets of 2, just to keep it a little bit less difficult to remove pins. Our springs are standard springs. Okay, that's from the right hand side. We'll put the right hand side in the top row and the left hand side in the bottom row. Now that I have a successful pick, that was close, I nearly lost a spring. Now that I have a successful pick, we can actually worry about explaining a little bit more. The face pins block the sidebars from retracting fully into the plug housing, or into the plug itself, I'm sorry. And I'll show you in a second how it actually differs from older quick change core BiLocks, because there are some differences in the milling on the internal of the cylinder, and this means that it does offer backward compatibility. You can take previous generations of BiLock and still use the same exclusive housing without having to buy new parts, but this backward compatibility doesn't extend forwards. So you can't take an exclusive plug and put it into, say, a new generation or a first generation housing, because it simply doesn't have the material machined out to enable. Like, you can put the plug in there if it's a quick change housing, but you can't remove your key, because the ball bearings, the balls that are on the side of the sidebar, will not allow this. It actually holds the sidebar in. So we're to our last pair of pins. Here goes one spring. I used to lose the springs for these quite often with gutting. I appear to have gotten slightly better with it. A lot of it's down to how clumsily I handle things. I'm a labourer who uses his hands at work a lot, and as such, I'm pretty rough and ready. So here we have the plug with no pins installed. We can see the sidebar pins are still all present, and if I press in the faceplate pins and push in on the sidebar, you can see they extend all the way in. With the key in place, we can see that the blocking pins are not an issue, but if they weren't out of the way, it doesn't extend, or it doesn't retract all the way in. We'll have a quick look at those pins. That light is terrible. Bear with me for 2 seconds, please. I didn't think I would need the overhead light. Obviously I do. Okay. As we can see, the false gates and true gates are quite clear. False gates are all present except for in the control pins. These ones here in position 2. If we roll those over, if I can get it to roll over, come on. There we go. I have to swap hands. Curse not being ambidextrous. One. Oh, come on. You know you want to roll over. I've got one of them over anyway. See how it has the through hold? The sidebar pin will actually go all the way through that only when it's lifted to its second bitting, which is the reason why it has master gates on the front. The rest of these pins don't have master gates on them, so it's not quite as simple a pick as one that is master pinned or master keyed. And if we look at the housing, we can actually see extra rows or grooves milled into it. If the light was good enough, there we go, there's a hole which actually comes through the side of the cylinder wall, and that actually allows these balls to seat themselves. Now if I were to say grab, this is another padlock I have, which has a first generation with removable faceplate core. When its key is in, we can see that the ball bearing retracts. When it's back past the groove, the ball bearing won't retract, and therefore can't be removed from the housing. That will go in and out fine, despite it being an exclusive housing. No, I better not, because that'll be hard to get out without pins in it. If I grab another padlock I have, which has a new generation, is this the correct key for this one? No, it's not. Where did I put that? Talk about being poorly organised. Now I'm just making a fool of myself. I'll grab an older housing, an older padlock. This one, again, with the wrong key. Why would you do that? Okay. I'll grab this one instead. I'm going to make a mess of this one. I seriously thought this was the key for this one. Here we go. New generation plug, which we can see by the, come on camera, focus. We can see the new generation element in the bottom there. Something which is not present in older generation or original. They do share the same plug though. Just the faceplate and the housing is different. No, the housing is the same, I'm sorry, what am I saying? Now we have older generation. It doesn't have as much milling, as we can see if we put them side by side. And then if I were to put the exclusive fits in there, but as we can see the faceplate pins, come on focus, the faceplate pins don't come back out. And if I were to have pins, key pins in this plug, come on, it would not allow removal of the key. There we go. So there we have a BiLock exclusive, single pin picked and gutted. Thanks for watching.